Who wished to goes first?
I start.
Okay, you start.
I start, yeah. I think the beginning for me was most impressive because I learned from a generous man with a lot of knowledge about the meat industry, from producing the meat and selling the meat, so much that I think Otto Gourmet wouldn't exist without the advice and friendship of Dan Morgan.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Stephan. It has been it's been a real adventure from conception of ideas and possibilities, and direction of ideology and what one thinks needs to happen in both the industry and personally, and to make a positive impact for the industry. Finding that partner, and developing that partnership is extremely important in the success of our adventure. I personally am extremely proud of the success we have had. The true measure of that success, the true measure of that success is, does anybody from the next generation wish to do it? Wish to continue the concept of ideas and innovation and promoting and growth. And we are extremely fortunate that Stephan's niece Paulina has joined the Otto Gourmet. I, as Dan Morgan, have niece and nephews who are now starting to assume responsibilities and ownership in Morgan Ranch Beef. Thank you, Stephan. It's been a great ride.
Same to you.
The definition for me of good meat is meat that is made specifically for the customer, meaning the taste, tenderness, texture, animal welfare, incorporating environmental stewardship, and treating the animal with the most respect. That, to me, is the definition of good meat, especially as compared to commodity meat, which is just a protein that's available for the consumer. "20 years ago, animal welfare was just beginning to be an issue in the industry. The industry meaning within the cattle industry, but also within the consumer mindset. And so now then it's a given that animal welfare is an extremely important issue in both the industry and in the consumer awareness and consumer desires to purchase that product."
I have to agree with that, yeah. It's, I mean, what I learned here from Otto Gourmet is that animal welfare, in the today's understanding, animal welfare, was practiced, for example, at the Morgan Ranch forever. What does it mean, animal welfare? It means that the animal can live out its natural habits. So every animal on your farm, every head of beef is free-ranged. When you come to the Morgan Ranch, you don't see stables, barns. You see a barn for all the necessary things you have to storage, but it's not for the animal. So they are free-ranged, and in the beginning I was surprised because my first visit to your ranch was in January. Really cold in January in Nebraska. And we had a strong wind, and you explained to me that the animals have no problem to be outside because they have the habit to stand together, to warm each other. And if the rancher gives them enough good feeding, then it's no problem for them to stay in wintertime outside. You know? So animal welfare doesn't mean you always have, let's say, happy animals, you know, what we sometimes think. You know, they must be happy all day, smiling. You know? No, but it's let them live in their natural habit. You know? And that's what I learned right from the beginning. And so look that the animal can live in the natural habit, and maybe in the natural habit they also sometimes have stress, you know, which we don't want to have them. But then I know here that in Nebraska the coyote is around, you know, and maybe they have stress. You know? But that's a natural stress. You know? When it comes to the next stage here, they have to go to the slaughterhouse here, look that they don't have that much stress here, that they also can follow their natural habits, you know? And that's animal welfare in the end. You know? And we learned from the Morgan Ranch right from the beginning what does it mean animal welfare, and we could copy this and could apply this all to all the other meat categories we have. You know? Look, what is the natural habit of the animal, and then look that we as producers, you know, follow this. Yeah. The question was also for good meat. No? What does it mean? No? So animal welfare, I think, currently is what every consumer has in its head, yeah, because the media educated us over the last 20 years. It's put the focus on that. But good meat today, and also I have to say, the Morgan Ranch is a leader in that, and you don't have to change anything, because good meat today also means it's not only good for us, for the animals, but it's also good for the planet, for the environment. And also there, if you look at the original habits for the animals, for example here for the grass-eating animals, you have the prairie in the US here. This original cycle is life, and if you produce within this original cycle, then it's not only good for us, for the animal, then it's also good for the planet.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe I answer first here because Otto Gourmet has the minor part in that. Morgan Ranch has the bigger part in that. Yeah. So we are a premium meat shop. We have our responsibility is this. Let's say I think you call it curated shopping here, to find the best products, the best meat, and make it available to our customer base or to the people who are interested in our values. So that's our responsibility. And for that, of course, as we see that as our responsibility, we talk to our producers and try, if they don't do it yet, this way and not to harm the planet, the environment here, that we can't force them, but we try to convince them to go in this direction. We are looking into this topic at Otto Gourmet now for already 3 years, I think. What I learned in these 3 years, and that's really the good thing, and I'm really positive thinking about that, most of our producers follow these rules already, like you, Dan.
It is our responsibility, our meaning not just our family operation, but our neighbors. We live on a very fragile ecosystem in the sandhills of Nebraska. And if you protect that system, it will produce grass. It also has very, very clean water. It sits on top of the Ogallala Aquifer, which supplies water all through the Midwest of the United States. We must treat the land with respect, and that means not abuse it. In order to do that, we've got to recognize that the sandhills, and in particular our ranch, which is not the largest, but it's a substantial land mass, has over 130 different species of grasses and herbs. To protect those grasses and herbs and utilize them to the best way possible, we will do rotational grazing. And so we know from our data that certain birds are nesting in a particular location in the month of April and May, or maybe late May and June. So we can put cattle in a different pasture at that particular time so those birds can nest. That is part of the environmental stewardship, is working with nature and working with our management systems. For example, our area has never been farmed. Everything is still native, natural grass and herbs. That means it's got a root system that's sometimes 6 feet deep, as compared to irrigated pasture that might have a root system that's 3 inches deep. That 6 foot deep root system pulls carbon out of the sky. It is the best place for carbon sequestration. We have partnered as of a month ago with a new company called Environmental Science Technology. And we're working directly with USDA to develop the equation of measuring how much carbon we are pulling and storing in the soil with the grasses that we presently have. And with the management system of rotational grazing, and there are many other aspects of that rotational grazing system to put into place and measure. We also do that at the feedlot that we recently purchased. We have established lagoons so that there is no runoff from the pens in the feedlot into existing and surrounding creeks and rivers. Everything goes into a lagoon. The harmful elements cannot pass through. Everything composts and then is used as a fertilizer back on some fields. Another aspect of it that does not get a lot of attention is that there is an invasive species of trees moving into the sandhills. It's the red cedar tree. And originally it was brought into the sandhills to be planted as a windbreak, which is fine, we've got to have those. But we allowed it to explode, and we never realized at the time how fast it was invading the pastures. That cedar tree sucks up so much water. It's true it takes out some carbon, but it sucks up so much water from the soil that it disrupts the balance. So there's a lot of things happening in terms of the science of climate change and how we as producers can affect the carbon sequestration. There's a lot going on, a lot of new science coming out, and we are investing in that.
Yeah, as I said here, it's I was surprised, positively surprised, that in how the partners we work with, how they have already included, and not just, let's say, since 5 years, let's say for generations, the right practices, principles in order to be good for the environment here, to have these carbon sequestration. And you know what? One thinking as a sales guy who is responsible for the products and telling a story to the consumer, of course, is how do we handle these questions? Do you have a certificate for this? For example, that's something we Germans love. We love we love certificates, and I say maybe a little bit not so polite, and says you need a certificate here if you don't want to understand what lies behind it. And that's what we as Otto Gourmet are doing here. We try to understand what lies behind it. What are the principles of good farming? What are the principles of generation-conform farming? And if we understand this, then we don't need a certificate. I mean, you told me once that if you want to have for this complex topic, carbon sequestration, if you want to have a certificate, which you definitely can have, I mean, you have to hire a company which costs so much money. I mean, most smaller producers, farmers, ranchers here, they will never get back the money over the years.
Right.
So, and that's also our responsibility, and that's why we talk to our partners and ask them, what do you do? And they explain it to us so that we know the principles behind it. And that's important, I think. Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud and also very humbled by the acceptance of our product in wonderful chefs around the world. I'm also humbled by the success of our product in the direct consumer business that we do both in the US and in Germany and in Japan. It's interesting that the number of repeat customers, which is the true measure of success in anything. In Nebraska, with our direct consumer business, which goes both to the East Coast, the West Coast, and in the Midwest, 90% of our customer base are repeat customers. Back when we started this project, over 20 years ago now, the goal was to raise the best tasting piece of meat that the customer had ever eaten. And that means taste, tenderness, texture, protecting the environment, genetics, can you supply every day? You know, are you a continual supplier, or what's the word, a consistent supplier of high quality meat? We quickly learned that you establish standards at every stage of the production of the animal. That starts with the baby calf, starts in his development stage, going into backgrounding, starts in the finishing phase, meaning you only harvest the ripe tomatoes when they're ripe. You know, if Joe over here needs another 30 days, okay, Joe, you get to stay another 30 days. There are standards that you have to establish. One of those standards is environment as well. You establish those standards, and then you stay with and you maintain those standards of production. You will quickly find out that if you decide to take a shortcut in one of those, it will affect the end quality of your product. You have prostituted yourself in that system. So we have established those standards. We've tweaked them some through the course of time, until now I'm really satisfied with the standards that we have established, and we meet those standards all the time. It's true, occasionally there's an animal that doesn't make it. Well, it goes out the door to a different operation. So it takes decades to learn that you establish standards. There are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. And then at the end of the day, you have the final product that you say, and your customers will say, this is the best I have ever eaten.
I have to add one thing to that here. And, that's the main reason why it's so much fun to work with Dan with the Morgenwrench. Because for us, we call it a brand. Mm-hmm. The standards he has in production results in a perfect brand with consistency in quality, and I have to say outstanding quality. That's actually the reason for the success, for our success in selling that meat.
Mm-hmm. It works. And you can see it. One of the people I watch is Michel Rolland in the wine industry. And he is internationally famous and has established, he's a consultant of major wine producers in France and Napa and Argentina and Chile and Australia and South Africa. And when I'm traveling and I see a Michel Rolland bottle of wine, I always buy his because I know exactly what it's going to be. He establishes standards. There are no shortcuts. And at the end of the day, you know what you're going to get and you will appreciate it. We'll see if I'm here in another 20. Okay.
I will be here, I guess. However, Dan mentioned in the beginning here that our success is that we have the next generation of people joining the company, of family joining the company, and of course, I hope that this all works out, and that in 20 years, others do the work, and Dan and I, you will be around too, here, can talk about the old times.